Hello, welcome to Lori Krein's Art Studio. I'm glad that you could join us today. On today's program, we are going to be working with the Lacta paper again because I got some new paper from Paper Source in Saratoga at Santana Row, and I really just can't wait to play around with it. So I haven't completed today's project ahead of time, which I usually do, and I usually show you what it is that we're going to do. Today, I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to have an idea in mind, and I'm just going to play with the papers and see what I come up with. So it's going to be an interesting challenge to see if I can finish this piece in 30 minutes, and what is it going to look like. So it's going to be a little bit of an experiment, so I hope you'll stick with me and watch and see what happens. Before we get started on the project, I wanted to remind you that if you want information about the show or about upcoming events, you can visit my website, which is lorikreinstudios.com, and there you can find information about classes and upcoming events and other information that you might need. There's a bunch of links on there as well, and some resources where you can buy the paper that I use here on the show, as well as other supplies that you might need. I also wanted to let you know that Open Studios, Silicon Valley Open Studios, is coming up on May 1st and 2nd, and I'm not sure if this show is going to be airing before then, but if it does, I hope you'll check it out. It's svos.org is the website for Silicon Valley Open Studios. The Alameda Artworks, which is the building I'm in, there's over 30 artists there. We'll all have our studios open to the public, so you can come by, see what it's like to check out a real working art studio, and you can also purchase art as well. So I hope you'll check that out. And I think that's all the events that we've got going on at the moment. But again, just keep checking my website. I also have a Facebook fan page. I think if you just do a search on Lori Krein Studios, you'll be able to find me there. So I also have a blog that I kind of work on sometimes. So anyway, today's show, what I'm going to try to do is a very simple project. Again, just like last week, we did a simple project with some trees. This time, we're going to be doing a field of grass and a sky, and then we're going to add a house, and that's it. It's just going to be real simple, and I want to see, because the reason that I think that this will work is because the colors of the paper are going to be so bright and vivid and fun that we want to keep the actual subject matter real simple. So that's kind of the idea behind it, so we'll see how it goes. Now what you're going to need for this project is, I'm using a canvas, it's 8 by 10 size, and it's just about 3/4 of an inch on the side. And you can get this at any art supply store. If you happen to go to a yard sale or a thrift store and you find either a piece of wood about this size or a canvas that somebody else used, you can paint over it with primer, a white primer or gesso, that then it'll cover up whatever's on there and you can reuse it. Of course, on this show, we try to be eco-friendly and use as many recycled materials as possible. So I encourage you to do that if you can. And the paper that we're using, the Lacta paper, is also eco-friendly. It's made in Nepal using these bushes, and they cut off the leaves, but the plant still stays alive. So anyway, it comes in all kinds of bright colors, and you can get that. If you do a Google search for Lacta, then you'll be able to find it. And you can order it online, or in some art supply stores have it. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing you want to do when you're doing any kind of a landscape is you want to start with the sky, because again, as I spoke of in the past, when you're looking outside, you see the sky, and then you see the trees, and you see the grass. So you want to make sure you work at that level, in order. So we're going to start with the sky. And for the sky, I have two beautiful colors of blue that I'm going to be working with. I have a light blue. It's kind of a robin's egg color blue, and then I've got this darker blue. It's really, really pretty. So I'm going to put those two together, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to cut them into slices. So let me show you what I mean. And when you're doing the first cut, you want to make sure you cut enough paper so that it'll wrap around the canvas, because you want to cover around the whole canvas edge like that. So the first piece that you do is going to be a little bit bigger, and actually I'm going to turn the canvas this way, I decided, instead. So anyway, so let me just cut the first piece, and I'm just going to swiggle the scissors a little bit, so I've got a little bit of bumpiness to it. So there's my first piece, and it's got a little piece. And then I'm going to cut another one, and I'm just going to do the same thing again. I'm just going to make it sort of swishy back and forth. And then I'm going to do one more, and this one's going to be skinnier. And you'll see what I'm going to do with these in a couple minutes. And maybe I'll do one more just in case. And there you have it. So I have my dark blue, and now I'm going to cut a few pieces of the light blue. You can also tear the paper if you don't want to cut it, and that just gives it kind of a different effect. Now I'm kind of going to measure this and see how big my canvas is. I'm just going to cut that piece off. I don't need that much. And now I'm just going to cut some of the blue and do the same thing. I'm going to make it go up and down, kind of in waves. See how that looks. I don't know really how it's going to look. I'm just sort of experimenting as I go along. Like I said, I didn't do this piece beforehand like I usually do. I just wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to live dangerously today. And there we go. So when you're planning out your piece, you want to have, I usually like to have about 3/4 of the canvas be sky, and then 1/4 of the canvas be grass or whatever. So my plan is to start with the dark at the top. So when I put the glue on, I just take my paper, put it on my little board here, and I put matte medium on it. The acrylic matte medium you can buy at any art supply store, and it's really used, the real purpose is to mix acrylic paints, mix with acrylic paints to give it more longevity. Instead of mixing it with water, you use the matte medium, and it makes the paints easier to paint with. But it also serves as an adhesive. But when you use it, you need to water it down a little bit. And you can find more information about that on my website of how to do that. So I'm going to just put down this first piece here. Now when you do the first piece, you want to go down over the side, over the edge, so you can cover that up. And then you want to curl it down even a little bit more on the back so it doesn't show any white. It's just that easy. And just smooth it down, tuck in the corners. And you can just cut the corners like that if you'd like. Make it a little bit easier to press down. Now, once I've got, let's see if you can see what I'm doing here. Just kind of tuck it in there. Some people have trouble with the corners. So when you turn it back over, there's a bump. And we want to get rid of the bumps. So all I'm going to do is put glue on top of the paper, like so, and smooth it out like that. Put some on the top and on the sides and smooth down that corner. And once the paper gets wet, it really just smushes right down. You won't have any problem. Now this blue paper is bleeding. You can see that the color is coming off a little bit. Now I didn't know that was going to happen, but it's okay. I'm just going to go with it and see what it ends up doing. I'm going to move these papers over there. All right, so now that I've gotten the first piece down, I'm going to take a piece of light blue and I'm going to put that on top of the dark blue. And you'll see why, but first I have to put my glue on. Just give it a nice even coat so it can soak it in. Bring it back over here, and I'm just going to lay it down at random. Put some glue on top, just a little bit. Get all those air bubbles out. We don't like air bubbles. You've watched the show before. Now you can put some glue on your fingers and sometimes it's a little bit easier to work with if you just put glue on your fingers, if you don't mind getting a little messy, and just pushing it down like that. It'll come off with soap and water. It's all water soluble. It's really nice. Okay, so then after I got that blue piece, I'm going to take another piece of dark blue and I'm going to put that one on top. And you know, there's a gap there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to fill that in later with something else. So I'm just going to continue with my gluing and adhering to the canvas. There we go. Just center it on there. And then I put more glue on top as I smooth it down. And wrap it around the back. And wrap it around the side. And there we go. A lot of people think this is kind of like stained glass. Kind of looks like stained glass in a way. Or mosaics. You know, collage kind of, you can do so much with collage and it's so forgiving. If you don't like it, you can just put more paper on top. It's really fun. So there, I'm going to put down another light blue piece. And again, I'm not worried about the gaps at this point. Just going to fold it down Put some glue on top. Okay, so now I have one more skinny blue piece I want to, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to put down some blue, some of the light blue on top of that one. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with the dark blue. Probably should have done it this way all along instead of what I did, but you know, this is an experiment, so we're learning as we go. We're learning together. And I'll talk about that in a second, of why it probably would have made more sense to put the blue down, the light blue down first over everything, and then put the dark blue on top. So next time I do one, that's what I'll do. Anyway, so now I've got it started, and I'm just going to finish it off with a bigger piece of blue. And let's see how much I need, about that much. And I'm going to get it down to about 1/3, so I'm just going to cut that straight over here. I'm going to cut it a little bit curvy on the top. Okay, put some glue on it. And I just love this color. It's so beautiful. It's just this perfect shade of blue. Really nice. Lay that on top. Smush it down. Get the air bubbles out, push it to the sides. Okay, so that music, I was corrected on our last show. I said the guy's name wrong. I'm really sorry about that. It's Robert Van Horn is the piano music that we're hearing. Let's just listen to that for a minute. Very pretty. Great music to collage by. So now I'm just adding a few more blue pieces to the top to cover up those areas where there were gaps. And I'm just kind of randomly cutting a different shape and then sort of sticking it on at random. Glue on the top. Just overlapping. I know I don't really have a specific plan here. I just kind of go with it and see where it fits, because each piece will have a home. It will tell you where it goes. So I'm going to come down to the bottom now then I can go back and finish the sky. I'll put one more piece up there. I'll put these two pieces, and then I'm going to go down to the grass. I want to make sure I have enough time to finish the piece. That's my challenge today. Put that one there. And I'll stick that one right over there. Let's see how that looks. All right. All right, I'm gonna have to fill in those gaps. So the next thing I want to do is work with the greens. And I have these 3 shades of green. Now this top one is very light. It's kind of almost a blue-green. And then I have these 2 darker colors. I think I'm just gonna stick with the darker colors. And I'm just going to lay them down on here and see. Oh, look how beautiful that looks. And then here's another color green. So I wonder how I should do that. Maybe I should do that one first, that one second. No, I like the green one on top. So maybe I'll just stick with one color green this time. I don't know. I'm just going to wing it and see what happens. So instead of just lying the piece flat like that, which would be okay, I'm just going to cut it into strips and overlap it. And I just think that adds a little bit of interest to the piece. And I'm going to need probably another one from here. Take that off. And just kind of cut another piece. So we'll see. Now, when you're doing the grass, you start from the bottom and work your way up. Because that's how grass, no, I'm wrong. You're starting from here and work your way down. Sorry. Silly. Anyway, so we're going to start with the top one and put the glue on. You can have so much fun with grass. can do all kinds of things. Gotta glue that down. You can do vertical for grass, horizontal. You can do all different kinds of colors or just one color. You could put mountains back there if you want. Anything. Just go outside and see what you like. Now I'm going to just layer my greens on top of each other, all the same color. But since they're overlapping, it kind of makes it look like there's a little bit more going on. Put that there. And then, you know, after I put the green and then I put my house, I might want to add some more to it later. I'm not sure. After it dries, I'll see what it looks like, and I can always add more paper on top. So it's kind of nice to have that option. You know that even though you think you might be done, and you can always change it later. So that's kind of nice. Oops. Put the glue side down. Put the glue on top. And make sure you wrap it all the way around the sides and the back. And we got one more piece we need to put on the bottom to finish it off. And then we can work on our little house that we want to work on. We're going to put a little house that's going to be living in this field. Be a nice place to live. I might add some trees later on, I'm not sure. I'll have to kind of see what it looks like. I might want to just keep it simple with a little house. Maybe it's a little barn, I don't know. So I'm just gluing the bottom. Sorry, this camera's on. Okay. There we go. And I have a little bit more white space, but I'll fix that later. All right, so I've got my grass, I've got my sky kind of almost done. Now I'm going to put my house on my grass. So here we've got, I already cut out a little house. I decided to make it red. I love red. It's my favorite color. We could also do it yellow, I think would be really nice. But for this one, we're going to use red. So I just got to put some glue on there. Flip it around. And I'm just going to put it right here sitting on the grass. That doesn't really, this brush is getting a little green from that, the paper kind of bled. So I'm going to take a new brush and cover and put glue on top of the house because I don't want it to look too green. Now you see that the color really changed. The red got really dark, but that's just the way it is with this paper. So be prepared. The color might not always look like you think it's going to look like when you glue it down. Now I kind of like the way the color changes when you work with it. So now I have a little roof I'm going to put on the house. Nothing fancy. It's just a, I don't know, a trapezoid maybe shape. I'm not sure what that is. So I just have a rectangle and this sort of trapezoid shape, and I'm going to glue that down. And then I'm going to put a little door on the house, which I've cut out already, because you want to be able to get in. Just put a little bit of glue on that baby. And where's the door going to go? Right there. There we go. That looks kind of cool. So it's a very simple house sitting in a field with a nice blue sky. And I'm going to try to finish up the sky here because we've got some holes that we've got to work on. And you don't want to have holes. So we'll just take some of our leftover blue and I'm just tearing it. And my fingers are getting very sticky. Typically, sometimes I wear gloves, but this time I didn't. But the glue does come off with warm water and soap. So it just takes a couple minutes to get it off, but it's all water-based, so don't worry about it too much. So I'm putting that one there to cover up that hole. And I'll take my other light blue piece and scoop it off of my tray. Put that one over here. Cover up that hole. Lift it up, wrap it around the back. And I've got another hole I've got to fill. So now we've been working for about 20 minutes on this and it's almost finished. So these these kind of projects can be done really fast if you're working on a small canvas and you keep it simple and only use a few different colors and have a simple design in mind. You know, you can finish something off in an afternoon, and you can do a couple of pieces. You know, you don't have to work on some huge project. If you want to just feel like you're getting something done and getting something accomplished, I suggest working on these smaller pieces and get them finished, and then you can enjoy them on your walls or give them away as gifts, and that's kind of the fun of it. So, and now this, again, the canvas size is 8 by 10, and you can also get the 11 by 14. Canvas comes in all different sizes, of course. So I've got one more little tiny white spot I want to fill with this darker blue, which is gorgeous. Such a pretty color, and that's going to go right there. Aha. All right, so, wow, it's pretty fun. So now I'm just thinking, we have about 5 more minutes, so I'm going to see if I can figure out, I'm going to make a little path that leads up to the door. Now, I don't know if this is going to work, and I'm trying to see if I have another color that I want to use, but I think I'm just going to use this kind of bright green. Now, let's just see what happens. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to make something that looks like it might work as a path. And maybe if I tilt it, it'll work. So we'll see. Now, a pathway, I think when you make a path, as it goes away from you, it gets smaller. So I'm going to start it off large, and then gradually it's going to get smaller as I cut it. So we'll see if I can accomplish that task, because you know, you want to get some perspective on this. So I'm just gradually making the path a little bit skinnier, and it might also work well if it was brown, like brown paper, but I didn't bring any brown today, so let's see how that works. Now I've got it. Let me just cut it off and make it straight at the end. We're just going to come up to the door. And I'm just going to sort of lay it out there. That doesn't look too bad. So now I'm just going to cut off the end so I can wrap it down. But that looks pretty cool, I think. You have to write me and tell me what you think. So now I have to, there's already glue down there, so it might just stick fine. Yeah, I think it's gonna, I'll just put a little bit under here. Put some on top. I still have 5 more minutes, how fun. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on top there. Oh, I love the way that it got darker, because it fades back in to the other green. It kind of goes with it. And some of the other green is also, some of the color is coming off off the brush, and it's going onto the path, and I like that. Now it looks like it's a little bumpy down here at the bottom, so I'm going to lift it up and put some glue underneath, because that's another bad thing to do, is if it's too dry underneath, you'll get air bubbles. So make sure that you have enough glue underneath the piece before you lay it down. And the safe way to do that is to just put glue on the piece, which I didn't do, and I should have, but I was just laying it down to see what it looked like, and it kind of fit, so I didn't want to pick it all back up again. So I'm just putting a little bit more glue down to make sure it stays. And now I've got my little path, so I'm going to hold that up so you can see what it looks like. And it's just, again, very simple. It's just got how many colors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. That's it. I didn't go crazy, and it just gives it a nice calming effect. I've got a little bit of interest here in the sky, and what happened, I think, with the path, if you want to talk about composition for a second, is that we have this curved line down here, right, which is a path, and we have some curves going on up here in the sky. So now you kind of, those two things relate to each other. And so when you're doing any kind of art, you want to make sure that your composition is working. So this is our focal point. We've got our little red house, and it's just sitting there in this big field. And then we've added a little bit of interest with the multicolored sky and the grass and the little pathway. So I think that where it really works. Now, the only thing that's missing on here, I think we might want to put something over here. Now, this is where I might want to put a tree or something else. I'm not sure. I'm going to just let it dry and then look at it and see what it looks like when it's dry, and then I'll decide whether I want to add something else to it. So that was our project for today. That was really fun, and we did that in less than half an hour. So, you know, you want to give that a try. You can do a quick project on an afternoon and not make a big deal out of it. So the only other thing I was going to do is add perhaps a little window to the house. And since we still have a couple minutes left, I'm just going to take a little tiny square of black that I already cut, and I'm going to just put a tiny bit of glue on it. And then I'm going to just stick it on the house so the house has a little window. I just think that'll look cool. Oh yeah, that's nice. I need a little window on there. And the last thing I would do for this piece is put my name on it, and I would just cut my name out of the paper, and that's how I kind of sign my name. So, and I see that at the bottom here I still have a little bit of white that I have to fix, so I'm going to take care of that. And before we sign off, I just wanted to, I'll just hold that up again, remind you of that you can visit my website if you want to do this project. I'll have information on my site that you can link to, and it kind of gives you the basic instructions. There'll be a picture of the piece that I did along with the supplies that you need, and a sort of a step-by-step instruction so you can learn how to do it yourself. And also there's links to other resources and paper suppliers and events. I also teach classes here in San Jose if you're interested in that. And don't forget to come to Open Studios on May 1st and 2nd, 2010, to visit the Alameda Artworks, which is located on the Alameda in downtown San Jose. It's actually near Race Street, so it's a couple of blocks away from the Shark Tank. And I hope you'll come and visit us there. So what I want to leave you with today is to just try to keep things simple when you're doing your art. You don't have to make anything fancy. You don't have to spend months and months or even weeks or even days doing a piece of art. You can do something in just a couple of hours if you don't have very much time to spare and you don't have a lot of room. I'm doing this on a very small table, and I was able to create a really cool little piece of artwork that I can just hang in my house. And it's good to put in the bathroom or a kitchen or something like that. So I hope that you'll give it a shot, and I want to thank you for joining me today. So go ahead and give it a try, and don't be afraid to use the paper. It's really fun and it's eco-friendly, and good luck with your projects. And I hope that you'll send me an email and let me know how you did on your project. Thank you. Bye-bye.